yes. And good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Patrick Flynn, and welcome to this morning's A Different Perspective. I am always so excited that you guys join me on Saturday mornings, or even watch this later on recording on our website or on our platform. So good morning. It's August, 10th today? Yes, as I said in the intro, this is my last Saturday being 49 years old. I turned 50 on August 15th, yes, and President's 2525 West Main Street. Anyways, but the nice thing is, thank you so much for joining. We have a wonderful show, as we always do every week. And I had a question again. People said to me this, it's kind of funny. They said, Doc, they said, I see you do a lot of interviews. Why don't you interview other people? It's really funny. I always tell people, I am a horrible interviewer. I really am. I have the attention span, sit and talk to people for very short times. If you've ever noticed, even my staff, if they want to talk with me, I hate meetings. I'm like, you got like 5 minutes. So for me to sit down and interview somebody would take great discipline, which I do not have when it comes to that. That's why I have the wonderful Dr. Bryce and all the other docs that can do those things. But I will tell you this. We are going to have other people on the show in the future. We've had some wonderful meeting with our team and our journalists and our writers and Aaron and Aiden and all the people that control the media and put so much into it that way. We do have some future interviews and upcoming shows and stuff, because I have a lot of stuff going on in the fall where I'm speaking all over the world and in a different capacity than I was before, but the demand for me to come speak that way. So we're gonna have other people that are gonna share some ideas and things on there. We're gonna have some wonderful things. Plus also, remember, that's why we have the Leadership and Longevity Conference. It gives us an opportunity to have wonderful longevity and wonderful leadership speakers. I'm just more of a teacher. It's really funny. Ask, and we got Dr. Emily. Obviously, she's on Facebook today and here. But ask Dr. Emily and Destiny and all the other student docs that I train. I love to train and teach, and so that's what ADP is all about. It's about giving you a different perspective on there. And it's really funny because one of my doctors got in a huge battle on TikTok with a plastic surgeon, I think it was this weekend, wasn't it, Bryce? It was kind of funny. Dr. Brad was thing, and Dr. Antonio, very proud of you. And because here's what happens. They'll say, the wellness play believes this. Well, of course we do. It's different. You know, it's like this. I try to reiterate, if anybody ever wants to get in an argument, I'll say, okay, good. Let's get in an argument on the merits this way. And what do I mean? We have the carpenter perspective. Most medical things have the fire department's perspective. It doesn't mean you don't both work at the same house. It's just that we have a different perspective. And so therefore, they want to argue talking like the fire department, and we want to talk about just the stuff, talking about being a carpenter. And they try to downplay it because maybe a fire is more of an emergency. For example, we hear about heart attacks, and you hear people of small-mindedness. They'll say, well, you're going to adjust them, or you're going to give them an herb for a heart attack. We never said that. You say, there's a reason why we do have emergency rooms. There's a reason why we do have wonderful doctors that can save a life and be the fire department. But if you think that you're going to do the surgery or drug to maintain a good heart, you're living in a fantasy world. And so therefore, it's actually two different perspectives. But what's the common ground? See, it's really funny. Everybody knows I love politics. But guess what happens is I guarantee that, this may sound really weird. Not everybody agrees with me, okay, on a lot of things. That's okay. But there's one thing I can tell you that we all can find. It's called common ground. I can find common ground probably with anybody. You could be the most pro-vaccine person in the world. And I could actually take the person that hates them in every way. And if I believe that you give me some time with both of them in a room, I can find common ground with everybody. Because once again, the whole perspective would be the child. Okay? But see, here's what happens. If one thing believes one believes the other, but you know what happens this? You know what is common ground for everybody? And I'll say it's very simple. Freedom of choice. Freedom of choice. Do you understand there's consequences for all choices we do? So it's kind of cool knowing that stuff. Speaking the aspect of consequences of choices, for all you guys, if you remember, we have 4 challenges per year. We just created the protein challenge. You can see right here. We have the no sugar challenge, the detox challenge, the protein challenge, sleep challenge. For you guys that chose to do the protein challenge, it's pretty awesome because, thank you, I'm still getting emails and messages and Facebooks and Instagrams about how it changed their life. But the cool thing I've noticed now over the last week was a lot of people said, Doc, I kind of reduced my protein a little bit, threw a little bit more carbs in there, and I could tell a difference. And the carbs were even good and stuff like that, because everybody knows I love cruciferous. and high fiber based carbohydrates. I like them a lot, actually. And that's why for all my wonderful carnivore friends, love you guys like crazy, but I could never in my life ever give up a form of cruciferous. Arugula being one of my favorite cruciferous. But long story short is people even started to add some more things back in, and they were like, oh my goodness, I noticed that I reduced my protein. I could tell that things were a little bit different. And that's the thing. Everybody's body is a little bit different. But the idea is this, is by doing those things, thank you for all the messages, all the emails. So happy you guys had a wonderful thing. And hopefully that the habits that you create from the protein challenge just get you to understand a little bit more about your body and what kind of intake that you need to actually do your best, to function the best, make your labs work the best, for you to actually build muscle. And remember, you guys need muscle. It was really sad because, you know, I had a family member, their mother, you know, fell and broke a hip and stuff like that, and she's frail, and she's 73 and she looks frail as can be and stuff like that, and she lost her muscle tissue and she lost her strength and balance, and now she's in a nursing home and sometimes hard to recover from those things. Over 300,000 people lose their muscle tissue and over time and fall just from, you know, things that they could do if they just maintained it, and protein has an effect on that. But I would tell you this, we've never had the detox challenge yet, which will start next April, but I'm really excited for the sleep challenge. I really am. Because as you guys know, I have such a perspective when it comes to women, a very different perspective, even with the topic we have today. But I will tell you the sleep challenge, I think, is going to impact everybody the most, especially you wonderful women, okay? Just because I will prove beyond a shadow of doubt that whole month that you need more sleep than men. Just like, for example, today, our topic. I believe that the perspective out there is a little bit misleading. I have a different perspective on it, so I'm going to share my thoughts, and I have a little bit more of a burden to actually prove things to you, okay? Now, speaking about this upcoming weekend, we have the book launch. It's coming up. So excited, from scratch. And so remember, we're going to be having the event here, so next Saturday from 11 till 1. So ADP next Saturday will not be on until 11 o'clock. Same thing when we launched the I Stood Cherie book, which has become an international bestseller, sold all over the world, still selling like crazy. But I will tell you right now, this book is 10 times better. It really is. And I had nothing to do with it. The only part I have in the book is you'll see one picture where my hand's in there, doing a little bit of the chicken in there. But here's the point. Definitely want to come to the studio. You're going to see you can use the QR code right here. Just grab your phone. We'll leave it up for a couple minutes, or not a couple minutes, a little chime as I talk here. Grab your phone, come here, register it, come in studio, and also do it virtually. But if you are local, this whole office will be full. The studio here upstairs, we're going to celebrate. We're going to have a wonderful time with everybody. I want people to actually come and hang out with everybody. It's going to be so exciting. And then, yeah, it's going to be absolutely awesome. So definitely come and enjoy with us that way, and come from there. It's going to be awesome. And I will be the big 5-0 by the time next time we come there. But speaking of birthdays, do me a favor. One of my dear friends and also docs, Dr. Eric Ubrin's birthday is today. Happy birthday, Dr. Eric. You are loved immensely by everybody here, especially me being your friend. I actually adore you. You're a fantastic man. It's great to actually be a part of the Wellness Way. But forget about the Wellness Way and stuff like that. You're just a great individual. Love spending time with you. Bless you. I hope you have a wonderful day, my friend. So, speaking of wonderful things, I just want to bring this up because people said, hey, Doc, my mom dropped off Facebook, and it's kind of interesting, and she didn't jump on the website, but I wanted to know something about our overall behind-the-scenes TWW Plus. So our TWW Plus here, something to look at really quickly. And the reason why they wanted to bring it up, if you want to go on our private network, you can just go to the website, go to TWW Plus, type in the word disagree. But here's why. We have a whole database of information. For example, you can see on there everything from vaccines to certain conditions, and what you'll see behind the scenes that when you click on any of them, like for example, I did just on the vitamin K shot, you're gonna see all the research that you can click. You know, if somebody ever wants to argue with you and give you an emotional response, I have a great catchphrase for it. And here's what happens. If people want to argue on emotion, I'll say, okay, where'd you read that? Can I have a copy? Well, our database gives everybody the copy that they can look at and share with their friends and family for it, okay? And that's why you want to see those things. So it's wonderful to actually go over to our database. You can see these things. It's wonderful. Go from there. Now, what we have continued to do is do our wonderful giveaways. So I'm going to turn it over to the three lovely people over to my left.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you all. The show is already going super well. There are tons of people on here, and probably for good reason, because this is going to be a topic that hits home for a lot of women. There's a lot of women suffering. So one of the things that we do ask you to do today is just share this show. Okay, because there are so many people out there who are sick who still have never heard our message and they need it. Okay, so that would be fantastic. But I'm going to be over on Facebook. I'm already talking with some of you guys, so keep interacting with us if you guys would like to win. We do already have a couple winners here, but we're going to wait for a little bit longer before we give those away. Dr. Lucas is going to be over on Instagram. Aaron, I believe you're on ADP?
Yep.
Cool. And then we do have some other doctors working behind the scenes. We have future Dr. Emily here as well, and she's on Facebook too. So Dr. Lucas, why don't you go ahead and talk about what we're going to be giving away today?
Yeah. Pursuant to our topic, well, we're going to be doing some female glandular, because ladies, sometimes you just need a little more resources to help make things work out all right. But in terms of working out all right, I think we've got a very good giveaway on your side.
Yeah, I love this giveaway every week. I love this giveaway. Spreading the Wellness Way message. Our Academy winner for today is a mother of 4 and understands vaccine injuries and how that can affect families in very personal ways. So she's excited to help women with hormones, which leads in fabulously today. So congratulations, Deanna Weinreis. I hope I've got that. Congratulations. Welcome to the Wellness Way Academy family. You have won a tuition award.
All right, congratulations. And we have a new slide that our wonderful Dr. Zach produced, if we can take a look at it this way. If you do have any interest in our academy and stuff like that, you can tune in to be a chance to win. Email your brief why to enter, once again, the academy at thewellnessway.com. It's a wonderful way to actually do this. Our academy has taken off. It's basically, in a way, a school to learn the things that we do and be able to help people all over the world, so it's kind of exciting. So it's a great thing. So speaking of great things, once again, got here super early this morning and did some things, did some prep, and all of a sudden, all happens. I jump on the email and you see our wonderful newsletter. So remember, to get our newsletter, scroll down to the bottom of our website, and what you will do is you will see, you can put in your email address. One thing I'm so excited about, all of our stuff is showing just wonderful articles from all of our great investigative journalists doing things. We do not solicit, we do not sell anything. It's fantastic. It's one thing I'm very proud about. Remember, this show and everything on our website is all about giving you information for you to take control of your health. That's it. That's all the Wellness Way is trying to do for you that way. Don't try to sell you. Don't try to say, here's a wonderful thing for you. No, it would make no sense, because we are so big into what you need to do lab-wise and everything that would be incongruent, and we are not incongruent that way. But one thing that's very exciting, I get to see my best friend today, Dr. Samson Fenley. He's actually up in Iron Mountain, Michigan today. That's where Dr. Alex, who actually wrote the book, who was here all week shooting videos for the cooking show and everything. And we get to hang out and see. The cool thing is this: we have amazing doctors all over. How do you find them? Go to the top of our website, click in, find a clinic, and look at all those wonderful, wonderful, offices there. And it's like the future Dr. Emily that's sitting here today with us. She's going to be joining the wonderful Dr. Hunter over in North Dakota in the Bismarck area. So even though that you'll see more and more dots on there every single month, you have other wonderful doctors that join other doctors' teams, and they actually expand their clinics as we get bigger every single month, which is kind of cool. So that being said, guys, I got a great hot topic, something that can be debatable, and so I have the burden to actually prove to you guys what I have taught women for the last 25 years. So let's move into that perspective today. All right, the one thing that I do love is having the burden of proof and have the burden of understanding in order to actually make some statements. And even though it might be more common to be somewhere else, it doesn't mean that it's normal. For example, when I was young in practice, and I will tell you this evolved. So I'm going to put out something, and I believe I can walk through the whole process and give you some wonderful information to make sense with it. But ladies, you're going to hate this, okay? But let me explain why. You're going to hate something that's supposed to be really good for you, okay? And I get it. I will tell you this. I am very sympathetic. Remember, and I'm going to talk about this in the future with some of the growth and development stuff that I'm doing. There is a difference between empathy and sympathy. Empathy is people say, Doc, you kind of talk female language quite well. I do. You know why? Because I'd sit across from you, observe, listen, be able to put myself in your shoes. Now, I'm a guy, so I'm not really sympathetic, meaning I don't feel the same way you do. Do you ever notice, you ever get in an argument with someone and someone says, you don't understand? They're like, yes, I do. Now, believe it or not, they probably do. It's just that they don't feel the same way, and that's sympathy. See, that's the difference between empathy means I put myself in your shoes and I can understand, but I don't feel the same way, so you don't see the emotion and the reaction that way. So I'm empathetic to women, what they go through. Can I feel what a cycle's like for them? No. Can I understand? Yes, I can. So I have a topic today that, once again, that I've noticed in clinical practice, and my other docs and everybody would actually agree on the same thing. And here it is. Why your period should last 5 to 7 days, aka your menstruation. All right, we're going to talk about that today. Now, once again, most women are like, oh, but I can tell you by the thousands, okay, of 25 years, almost 26 years of doing this, is that when a young lady of menstruating age, so anywhere from the time they got their cycle in teenage years, all the way to, once again, they hit menopause, you want to, once again, have a cycle, that menstruation that ranges from 5 to 7 days. That means, yes, ladies, you want to lose that tissue and bleed for 5 to 7 days. That sucks. I get it. It's horrible. Because I have women that come in and say, Doc, it only lasts 2 or 3 days. I'm like, okay. Because then I'm going to go through why. I'm just going to go through all the things. And now I have the burden of proof to prove this to you. And once again, and that's why when women come in and say, oh man, my cycle's so short, I like it. I'm like, but there's some concerns I have when this happens. And so therefore I'm going to go through those, and I'm hoping to prove to you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, why I believe that 5 to 7 days should be the standard and normal for what women go through, even though, once again, do I want women to go through this? No, it's inconvenient. It sucks. You gotta, have feminine care products. You gotta do everything that way. It's difficult. It throws off. One day when I stand in front of God, I'm gonna ask him, okay, once women are done having babies, why doesn't the cycle just stop? You know what I'm saying? No joke. I guarantee that Christy and Aaron, roughly around the same age, I think they're done having babies, okay? And not that they can't because they still cycle, but it's like, okay, they're done. I guarantee if you put Christy and put Aaron, and I asked them, let's do it right now. Go over to Aaron right now. Aaron, okay, quick question for you. It's done having babies, correct? Heck, you got your son-in-law sitting right next to you, okay? You want
their turn.
That's right, you want grandbabies, okay? But let me...
Not a rush.
Yes.
But their turn.
Yeah, but don't you think about it this way? Since you're done having babies and your youngest is what, 20 years old?
She'll be 20, yeah.
So you're 20, okay?
Yep.
If you could have a conversation with God and say, hey, God, done having babies, would you mind if turning that cycle off about 10 years ago or so?
I'm done with it. I have no need.
Yes, it's right.
I'm all about recycling. Let's get going.
That's right. So, and Erin, once again, is in her 40s, and the idea is, but she's done. Babies are there. And around, we know that the cycle is so important for fertility and all the things we're going to go through today, but the idea is this. Because once again, because the cycle gets a little off, there could be anemia, there could be a whole bunch of things that way. But you can ask most women, when they're done having kids, they're like, pets, cool, done, okay? Now that being said, I understand the inconvenience. I understand the stuff of just not doing it. So, but then why? Doc, if you had a woman, because if you look at it this way, women that do start to move into upper 40s, sometimes it shortens. That leaves major concerns for me. Wait, you're telling me that your wife, who's 48, maybe 49 in February, that if her cycle got shorter, that would concern you? Apologize. Menstruation. Apologize. That you get so used to calling it cycle because there's time that but let's just say the bleeding periods of that. If that shortens, that worries me because I will say this, and I'm hoping to prove it to you. With a shorter bleeding period, I'm concerned about the hormone levels that can have to hit a certain level that now lead to other issues if they're not there. So it might seem like a 5 to 7 day window, but really what I'm looking at is the whole cycle every single month and also through the course of the year. Okay, so let's get into it. So let's just take a look. Let's take a look right here. This is just a general representation. And the reason why I pull up some of these general representations from the internet is because here's what happens. I will always be more of a teacher to you, okay? And the fact that I'm going to share something with you, and then I encourage you, please go look this stuff up. But let's just take a look at the top. The top looks a little bit weird, so I'm going to jump to another screen, and I'm going to come back to this one, so stay here. And yes, you're going to hear today a lot of my voice over slides just because I do have some animations and things like that that I want you to see. But let's go to here. Let's just jump to this one really quickly. This is one I created a long time ago because here's what happens. The full cycle for the month can range from 26 to 32 roughly days that way. And guess what happens? So let's just take 28, which is more of the common average, okay? Ladies, if you're not 28, don't freak out. You could be 27, you could be 30, but we'd like to see an average cycle maintain some things, okay? But let's look. If you look through the process, the two major hormones, now there's much more in this involved, but I just want to talk about the two major. Estradiol, one of the estrogens, okay, which is the major sex development characteristics and other things that happen for a woman, and progesterone, maintaining, these have two good functions. We're not going to cover that today. But just look at the cycle. And if you see estradiol through the cycle goes up and goes down. And there's certain characteristics that estrogen does. So the estradiol has an effect on the endometrial lining, uterus, and let's keep it going on. Progesterone maintains things. Pretty low at the beginning, gets high in the phase. But if you look, let's go back to the top. If you can see, you see estrogen in the kind of lighter purple. You see progesterone in the green. Now what you see overlaying in the blue is actually FSH, stands for follicle stimulating hormone, and LH, luteinizing hormone. Now if you look, that's why if you notice, there's a follicular phase, which is the first 2 weeks, and luteal phase, which is the second 2 weeks. Okay, ladies, I hope this is just basic for you. I'm very saddened that most young ladies don't know this in great depth. Because here's what happens. And the reason why I want women to know this is because there's physical things that you go through, but there's also psychological things that you go through. I was so excited, and she knew my answer. But I had one of my wonderful, wonderful female doctors. She's an incredible lady. And she messaged me yesterday. And she says, Doc, and she sent me her Dutch test. And things were actually becoming even better and more normal. And she said to me, she's like, and to give you a little past history, she had very high androgen dominance. So she had higher testosterone, higher DHT, which once again, there's physical and psychological consequences of having that. Ladies, if you have a higher DHT, which is 10 times more potent than testosterone, you have high testosterone, yeah, there can be physical bad things happen, but there's mental things. You have more aggression, you have more things this, you have more sex drive, you have this. You kind of take on some dude characteristics, okay? But what happened on her Dutch test? That started to go away. Her testosterone started to come down. Her DHT started to come down. Her estrogen started to elevate. They started to become normal. And she says to me, she's like, Doc, now I just feel like I'm all over the place emotionally. And I said, welcome to feeling like a woman. And she sent back an LOL face. She goes, I knew you were going to say that. And she mapped out her cycle, and she realized that, guess what happens? There's going to be some mental changes that happen. Ladies, that's good. Do you understand? I don't know why women think they can't be all over the place, because let's go back to it, Travis. Let's look at this. If you look at the physical changes that happen when estrogens go up and down, or progesterones go down, or the brain hormones LH and FSH go up and down, there's going to be physical and psychological things that happen. So we're going to go over that today, and why, when you look at a period time, why there's physical changes that are supposed to happen. So if I see a shortening, or if I see abnormal things that are moving towards it that way, I have concerns that there's going to be physical and psychological things that come from it. For example, when the cycle shortens, okay, let's kind of get into why this kind of bothers me a little bit. So let's go back to the graph. If you notice, when we take a look, okay, if we see down below all the hormones going up and down, so you see the hormone level list to the left, and it shows you the hormones go up and down. That's basically roughly at 28 days. But right below it, it talks about the ovarian cycle, which means what? Which means you can see the egg there, the follicle, actually growing, and in the middle there, if you go down even lower, it says ovulation, the egg releasing that little thing, and then of course then it changes in the luteal phase, and that's where ovulation, everything happens. But I want to go down one more level to the endometrium layer, okay? As you understand, ladies, I want you to think about this. The uterus is such a brilliant organ. I want you to think about this. I want you to think about how cool this is. How cool this is. When you look at the uterus itself, And men, we don't experience this. Now, men has great things too, okay? So as I said, I believe that both sexes have massively coolest things that happen to their body. Females just got a little bit kind of cooler thing because now they don't think it's that cool because they go through a period. But the idea is this. I want you to think about this. They have an organ that, once again, has to replicate monthly to be able to maintain a layer of tissue that provides the opportunity for us guys to actually have some fun. And then that tissue actually says, if everything is nice and comfy, I always think of like the endometrial layer like a waterbed. You know what I'm saying? Guys, remember the 80s kids and stuff like that? The waterbeds. I remember parents had them. You just jump on it and parents be like, don't be doing that. It's all over the place. Well, that's why I kind of think of like the egg and the sperm comes together and just plops on the waterbed, okay? That's like the endometrial layer. It really is, okay? The endometrium, it's kind of good. See, I see you guys laughing because you guys have been there, all right? This is what I think about it. And then all of a sudden, it's really cool that fertilized egg just lays in that waterbed and moves around. And you traveled before and you jumped on a bed and it's hard as a rock? That'd be like a really thin endometrial layer. And the egg says, don't really want to do anything here. I'm just going to exit. And it drops out the uterus, into the urine, and things like that, and goes away. Yes, I know I have the weirdest analogies on the planet. But you can picture it, can't you? Okay? So I want you to picture that endometrial layer let's pop it back up here, Travis. As you can see, so let's skip to starting day 7, okay? As you can see, that layer starts to build up. But day 1 of the period, it's pretty thick, and then it starts to lose, and then blood flow not only pushes it out, but blood flow brings other nutrients, hormones, and other cofactors that help build that layer up. But look what happens. There has to be a release of that endometrial layer. So the endometrium starts to dissipate, and it takes roughly 6 to 7 days if there is a thick enough layer. So come back to me, Travis. So I want you to imagine that instead of having that big old soft comforter, or even, what do they call those? What do they put on top of a bed if they want to actually make it thicker? You can buy them extra. What do they call those things? Memory foam? Not memory foam, but they actually, what's that? Yeah, like a mattress pad, some of that. Okay, I want you. That's a good one, Dr. Bryce. You have that. It's like the mattress pad gets thicker and thicker and thicker through the course of the 7 to 12 to 13 days. So if you think of it this way, day 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, that comforter gets bigger, or the water actually is filled up. Imagine jumping in the waterbed with no water in the mattress. No one's gonna sleep there. So the idea is this. So it starts to build up, and then all of a sudden it's a beautiful, squishy waterbed. And if the egg gets fertilized by the sperm, then guess what happens? It implants on there. And then therefore, guess what happens? If that layer can maintain, guess what? We now can start to develop, bring that baby to life. So I want you to think about this. If that layer doesn't get big enough, you don't have that nice full water mattress for you guys to lay on. So I want you to picture that if you ever I remember, and I had a waterbed when I was a teenager. I remember putting the box together and stuff like that, grabbing the garden hose, putting it in there, and watching it fill up. Watching that waterbed fill up is like the endometrium starting to build up. And then really what it does, it takes a good 5 to 7 days for it to build up. But it takes a good 5 to 7 days for it to release properly. So when I actually see a woman go through menstruation, go through the period of bleeding, only 2 to 3 days, what happens now, it shows that the endometrial layer is not thick enough and can be dissipated quickly. Now, why is that important? Well, if we go back to the top of the picture here, if you notice estrogens, especially estradiol, it actually starts out a little lower in the beginning, but in that day 7 through 12, 13, it gets at a higher level, extremely high level, because you know why? Because here we go. Estrogen is the all-important hormone required to create the endometrium each month. If you do not produce a certain amount of estrogens, that lining won't be very thick, and when it sheds, bleeding tends to be for fewer days. So I want you to think about that. So if we take a look at, once again, let's go back to that graph. Let's go back to the graph. So skip through the bleeding period of menstruation, go right to the first part of proliferation where it starts to grow. If those estrogens, as you can see in the top, do not get elevated enough, we don't have enough estrogens in order to build the endometrium, and so therefore the rest of that month, it doesn't matter if you ovulate perfectly. I want you to think about this, ladies. I don't care if you ovulate perfectly, and I don't care if you and your husband, have sex at the right day, or all of a sudden the egg gets fertilized. Remember, fertilization happens within the fallopian tube, not in the uterus. But then that fertilized egg comes down, goes to jump on the waterbed, and is like, ugh, it's all hard here. We can't lay here, and it dissipates out through the uterus. See, some of the problems that happen with women and not having a child didn't come from the fact that they didn't do the right timing and fertilize the egg. It's because the waterbed wasn't proper for them to lay on. I hope you guys understand my analogy. So that's why when I saw this happen, and women go, Doc, I even know when I ovulate, I got this, I did this, I can even mucous membrane, and we have sex at the perfect time, and this, and nothing, and stuff like that. Or I have a positive pregnancy test, and it's gone really quick, and I miscarriage. Totally understand. Totally understand. See, and here's what happens. I'm just giving you the ideas of pregnancy. Estrogens have an effect on you psychologically. Estrogens have an effect on bone density. Estrogens have an effect on the breast tissue. Estrogens have an effect on your beauty and your skin, ladies. Estrogen has an effect on all tissues of your body, ladies. It's your dominant female hormone. Not only does it maintain your sex characteristics, it's used for all physiological things. Estrogen has an effect from everything from your toe to your brain. So when I see a bleeding period, a menstruation period of 2 to 3 days, yes, am I concerned about things that happen within your uterus? Absolutely. Absolutely I am. But I'm also concerned about the other parts of your body, the physical and psychological things that estrogens affect, because you have estrogen receptors all over your body, from your brain to your immune system. And so that's why I'm sitting there going, ladies, I know menstruation sucks. I know trying to navigate in a world where you got to work and do things and all stuff like this, it's difficult. Trying to bring feminine products and do things, it's extremely difficult for these things to happen. So that's why when I look at this, I'm going, oh. But also what it does, it leaves you in another pattern, because if you look at the graph again, I'm going to talk to you about today. The ovarian cycle, once again, if this is not done properly, you don't even have progesterones on the other side to make sure that they can counteract and do other things. So how your menstruation happens affects even the things at the end of your cycle. So that being said, if we just take a look at the basic graph here again, this is the one I use in my hormone connection seminar. Let's talk about some of the things. If you look at the progesterones and estrogens going up, just remember, there's a follicular phase, which is the beginning. There's a luteal phase, the first 14 follicular, 14, 28, luteal. They have different brain hormones that go there. So what I want to show you is this. Let's go here. I want to just talk a little about the physiology of this. And so I'm going to talk a little bit, so listen to my voice, look at the graph, because I want to show you a couple things I want you guys to understand. This is a picture of the pituitary of the brain, okay? So just think about the pituitary hanging there, hypothalamus, that's part of the brain up there. And if we talk about this, hypothalamus, once again, is a relay center, and also it's one of our stress and anxiety centers, okay? And that's why I've always said this. If you look at stressors to the body, it can affect how the pituitary releases its brain hormones to actually make this whole thing work properly. That's why, ladies, you've experienced this. You've, had such a mentally stressful thing that happens that you skipped or delayed your cycle. You've physically put stress on your body, even from sometimes working out. It's going to affect the neurology that now affects the whole cycle that's controlled that way. Because let's take a look at the graph. What we don't realize, you can see from our little graph there, that little graph, let's do it again, see a good animation. Hypothalamus releases a hormone, gonadotropin releasing hormone, down to the pituitary and anterior, and you notice that there's FSH and LH released. So FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, follicular phase, luteinizing hormone, luteal phase. Now, here's probably the coolest thing I've ever created when it came to slides. Now, The FSH and LH, that's produced by our pituitary, circulates in the bloodstream, goes down to our uterus. And did I say our uterus? Goes down to the uterus. I'm so used to talking like a female, okay? Goes down uterus. And let's take a look at that little ovary where it affects massively. So here we go. Inside the ovary, guess what happens? There's little primordial follicles. There's little follicles. Every young lady is born with these. Every young lady, okay? Now, hold the phone. Come back here. As I told you, August 15th, I turned 50 years old. So by next Thursday, it's Saturday right now, next Thursday, so within 5 days, I turn 50. That's not really totally true. Okay? It's not really totally true. Now, something that fascinates me with the human body is this. As I said, the primordial follicles, they haven't been stimulated yet. Get it? Follicle stimulating hormone. It's kind of cool. But the follicle, my mother had inside her from the day she was born. My mom is 20 years older than I. She was 19, turned 20 a week later. Apologize, 2 weeks later. So my mom was 19 years old when she had me. So that means I may be on this earth for 50 years next Thursday, but there was a part of me that was on this earth 19 years before that. It's kind of cool if you think about it. So technically, a part of me has been running around here for almost 69 years. I have a whole host of jokes for that one, but I'm going to keep the clean show today, okay? Oh, but think about that. I don't know why, but that just fascinates me about the human body and what's it capable of and us keeping our generations and stuff like that. Oh, that's cool. It really is. I just find it fascinating that I've been around for 69 years. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping to be around for a lot more, okay? That being said, let's go back to the graph. So that follicle, once again, there's that kind of graph we had with the hormone levels. See, roughly 28 days. The follicular phase, and guess what happens? That pituitary gets stimulated from the hypothalamus, releases that hormone, and all of a sudden you get a surge of FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. And then that follicle gets stimulated and starts to grow and it releases the estrogens. And then it tells the brain what's going on. It's kind of cool. It says, hey, we need to either suppress or produce some more. And then the follicle grows, and guess what happens? More estrogen comes about. See, so that's why I want you guys to understand that neurologically, it's very important at the beginning of that cycle to get that big FSH push. So you got to be careful, ladies, at the beginning of your cycle with all the stress. Ladies, you hear what I said that way? The big amount of stress that you go through can determine what happens with FSH and how the whole menstrual cycle starts and how the follicle develops that way. Because if you don't get a good push of FSH, the follicle doesn't grow and you have less estrogens. And that's going to lead to a little less endometrium. Let's go back here, Travis. But then guess what happens? But then the brain keeps on talking back and forth. And then guess what happens? Then we have the LH big old surge, luteinizing hormone, and then the egg releases. Cool right there. And you have the luteal phase. And then once again, everything changes, comes down. And you have a big cycle of progesterone and estrogen. But then once again, that released egg turns into corpus luteum. Don't have to know that, but just understand this way. And albicans, and then progesterone, estrogen, inhibitin. And that talks to the brain. So there's this complete cycle going back and forth, and everything talking this way. So whenever a woman has a problem with their cycle, there's neurological responses, there's endocrine responses, there's pituitary, there's hypothalamus, there's ovary, there's uterus. It's so complex and interconnected. I'm so thankful that the medical perspective takes all that into play, trying to help women normalize their cycles. That was a joke. No, they try to give you an endocrine-only disruptor. Kind of crazy, isn't it? Kind of crazy. So, perspective to me is like, yeah, you say maybe because I'm getting older, just bite my tongue a little bit on this one. Because what they do to young ladies, or even women in their 40s, if you understand how this works, the medical perspective makes no sense. Some people say, well, doc, don't give medical advice. I don't. Most of the medical advice is really bad. But just because you went to medical school doesn't make you owner of the human body the way you act. Because I watch how you speak to patients. And I watch your care. And yes, you have a deep bias towards your care because you can't admit that a lot of stuff you learned is pretty bad. When you get on the vaccine issue, endocrine disruptor, messes the cycle up. Anyways, but guess what happens? As we talked about this way, we talked about, once again, there's things that can disrupt that releasing hormone. Oh, wait. So there's things besides mental stress that can disrupt the gonadotropin releasing hormone. Yes, there is. And guess what? Steroids. Steroids. We're going to come back to the brands, but steroids. Well, doc, being a chiropractor, do you see a lot of people come on anti-inflammatory corticosteroids? Yeah. Let's go back here and take a look. Hydrocortisone. But I wanted to show you the one down below. Dexamethasone. Why does that sound so familiar? Now, on the box, on the label, on the side effects, it talks about disrupting gonadotropin releasing hormone. That's why, ladies, you're under a lot of pain physically that way, and you're going to get some things. You take prednisone and things, and even guys, they go, oh my goodness, they don't realize and don't tie these things because they don't look at the body like a Swiss watch like we do. Remember, you know I love analogies and creating things. The body's like a Swiss watch. All the gears come together. But let's go back to this now. Dexamethasone. Why does it sound familiar? Oh my goodness, it was one of the major steroids they gave during COVID. And women took it and men took it, and they wondered why there was so much cyclic changes. Can the virus have something to do with it? Yeah, but not that much. The virus didn't have a receptor for the uterus. But the treatment that they were doing was messing up the endocrine responses of women, and that's why you're seeing some of the cyclic changes happen. Because they were missing that some of the treatments for steroids they were given was actually hurting women and hurting their fertility and hurting all these things. But there are other things that are known to disrupt gonadotropin releasing hormone and affect FSH and LH, and here they are. Number one, statins. That's what HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors are. Statin drugs, mental illness, heavy metals. They even show soy, birth controls, cortisol. That's where the stress come in. Low omega-3s, low protein diets, inflammation. So you wonder why when people start to go a little bit more vegan. Now, guys, you can be vegan. Remember, my vegan friends, love you. You're awesome. My carnivore friends, you're awesome too. They have a little bit more chance of getting proteins. Over here, if you're the vegan, you got to get those good plant-based proteins. Get some pea protein, get some, some other ones that are going to be good for you that way. I'm in favor of that. Just got to have a good chunk of it that way. But these are all, so Travis, let's show them again. These are all hypothalamus gonadotropin releasing suppressors. Suppressors, guys. Let me ask you a question for all you guys watching right now. Do you see anything up there that could throw off your endocrine system? Yeah, both men and women. You can. You can see it right there. So that's why when you see this, and I see all these disruptions going on, I'm sitting there going, we need to do things that help stimulate FSH, help stimulate LH, make sure that we're not endocrine disrupting these things. And it's one of the reasons why, when you look at some of the things that you can take and do, there's one FSH stimulator that I actually love when women have a short cycle. And here it is, Don Quai. Well, Don Quai helps with estrogens. No, it doesn't. Don Quai actually helps with the stimulation of FSH. And then if FSH is deficient, this is going to help. See, a lot of people think, Don Quai raises estrogen. That's not true. I get frustrated in the natural world where they say, Don Quai helps estrogens. No, if FSH is being disrupted, Don Quai will start to normalize FSH. And therefore, there will be estrogens. But if you have normal estrogens, taking Don Quai isn't going to make any difference. That's why let's say, well, and Don Quai only works if there's an FSH issue. See, the one thing that I absolutely love, and Aaron told me the other day, me, you, Christian, and the family have been together for how many years now?
19 years yesterday.
19 years yesterday. The reason why Aaron, as a journalist, and now he loved our care, but I'm such a nerd when it comes to all the physiology and biochemistry and how Dong Quai really works. Because here's what happens. Without proper lab testing, knowing FSH is deficient, taking Dong Quai will do nothing for you. But we say, take Dong Quai for estrogens, and it's not true. And then people take it and there's no estrogen change and say, look, it doesn't work. Or they can do a randomized study saying, we're just going to give people Dong Quai that actually have estrogen problems, and therefore look at double-blind placebo study, Dong Quai didn't work. Can I see their FSH levels? Oh, we didn't measure those. Well, there's much more reasons that estrogens are low than just FSH. See, that's the thing. That's the investigative aspect of every patient that needs to be done, and the detailed testing that's needed to really match up what that person needs. I hope you get that concept of my obsession with that. And why I know Dr. Emily and Dr. Destiny, these students here are training for this stuff. That's why I get to train doctors, and that's why the next 3 months I'm training thousands of doctors over the next couple months. Because I went from talking to the public, and now I'm getting asked to speak at some big chiropractic seminars, medical seminars, functional medicine seminars, of all kinds. Because I think that we got to get this kind of detail for people. Speaking of that, of you people, we got some prizes to give away. So let's go back to our wonderful Dr. Bryce, Dr. Lucas, and Aaron.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for all the great interaction today. There are a lot of conversations going on, a lot of stories being shared as well of people who have, unfortunately been down this route. And a lot of you guys, are saying how grateful you are for all of the information that, Dr. Patrick and the team is providing. And, we're always very happy to share this with you guys, but also want you to imagine all the people who don't know about this yet. So this is why we always just ask, especially with topics like this, please share, please talk to your friends and family about this information, because it's life-changing for so many of you guys. Imagine the impact that you could potentially have on some other women who are struggling. So we always appreciate that. But that being said, we do have quite a few winners here for some female glandular. So on Facebook, we have Linda Carlson, Kayla Marie, Jackie Michaels, Joe Brandell, Cassie Conley, Stacy Arroyo, I'm probably messing that one up, but you know who you are, Savannah Brown, and then Judy Sortes.
Nice.
All right.
Well, over on Instagram, we've had a very, very lively time. A lot of great stories, like you said, being shared. But our winners are Teresa Hombacher. Thank you for being one of the first people I could see to say good morning. Judith Peterson 5, Danny Mac 7077. Love the Paul Stamets reference. Thank you for that. Taylor K. Yancey, love that you're doing your ACV routine. Kettlebell Mama. This is for managing all those kids you've got. Mrs. Julia Hicks, Emily Quiz, and Emily PJW. Thank you all for being part of our comments today.
Yeah, fabulous. And ADP, of course, this is a hot topic. Ladies, we're together here, right? So have been some comments. This goes so fast. There's so much information. How do I get it all? Be sure you are we launched a brand new newsletter that comes out at the beginning of the week called ADP Replay. And it recaps some of this information. It's got a link to the replay. It's got a link to all the studies and everything you could want. So be sure you're checking your email to get that ADP replay towards the beginning of the week. If not, subscribe to the newsletter. We want to share everything with you. So to the winners on ADP, we had Deb Heimstra-Deaver, Yano at Verizon.net, Leanne Saran, Stephanie Chavan, Flash River, thanks for always joining us, Mary N, and this one's just fun, Aha Moments.
Some creative names.
Yeah, it's fabulous. And there was lots of, thanks for sharing your stories, ladies. Thanks for connecting. The more we connect, the more we stick together and share our stories. That's how we spread this wonderful message. So,
yep. And then just one more thing, just to make sure that you guys do get your prize, make sure that you are emailing the giveaways at thewellnessway.com. Make sure you have that correct. We keep getting some people who are missing a letter or a dot or something. So make sure you take a look at that and do send your email right away so that we can get that stuff sent out to you guys.
All right. Thank you so much. I was actually just looking at the comments, all people going crazy on Facebook that way. It's awesome. So I really love the interaction. And guys, no joke, we give away some things every single Saturday. We give Academy, which is about $15,000. We give away $1,000 in products every single day. We're going to do it through the whole year. Plus, we're going to have such big giveaways for this Christmas that's coming up. Oh my goodness, we're already in that season coming up soon and stuff. And so we got more giveaways. Why do we do it? You know, they said we get bigger as a company every single month. We just love giving away stuff to try to kind of just be there for you guys. We love interacting. We love our community. So us giving away gifts every single week, it just, we enjoy it. We really do. We like giving to people that are interacting with us and having fun with us and part of our community that way, and share it. I mean, sincerely, you can, if you ever want to do something, say, Doc, not joking, I gotta tell you this. I'm gonna say hi to my buddy Tim. I met him when we were in 6th grade. We wrestled together. We grew up high school together. I stood up in his wedding. It was great, and he's known me forever. And I might have a surprise birthday party coming up. So, and he's coming to it, and he's like, Patrick, he goes, what can I get you? And I said, Tim, and he's on my phone. I said, if I want something, I'll go buy it myself. I've made plenty of money. I don't need any gift. But the one thing that money can never buy is time with wonderful individuals. So from the bottom of my heart, and my last chance to be able to say this at 49 years old, thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending time with me. It means more than you ever imagined. So when I see the names on Facebook, and yes, Instagram and TikTok, and all you guys in ADP, I just happen to pop on Facebook. It's easy on my phone. I sincerely appreciate it, because there's no money that can replace that time that I get with you. There's no money that can replace the time I get to spend with the people I love so much, and I want to thank everybody constantly for all that. And like I said, I get so much good time with such people I love this week. Thank you, really do. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. That's it, guys. Appreciate all of you guys on a regular basis. It's great seeing you guys. Thank you so much for, I can see already the happy birthdays. Yes, August 15th is my official birthday, next Thursday. Thank you. God bless all you guys. I do really love all you guys for spending some time with me. It's the most important thing as I do get older. I tell people, money is important, but guess what happens this? To me, the time you spend with me warms my heart more than all the money I have. God bless you guys. We'll see you next week. For the unedited, full-length, unapologetic content, go to our website to watch ADP shows. Hit that subscribe button and join our community for the most amazing content like this every day.